collaboratorium on Rudyard Kipling and the Iron Ring ceremony, we had a passionate and invigorating discussion. From this, we felt there was a unique opportunity to speak to you, the CEEA-ACEG community, in this room and really build on the wonderful conversations we've been having these last 3 days at the conference. As Ev said, to transform the learners, you have to transform experience. And we have a very specific experience we want to talk about. And maybe, as Randy said, we'll start pushing that snowball a little bit down the hill. So if you're familiar with this, I invite you to join in. Sorry, the laptop was about to fall there. I'm going to tell a story that is not my own, but that I have permission to share. The Iron Ring ceremony was one of the most meaningful parts, or a very meaningful part, of my journey and my career as an engineer. At the ceremony, my grandfather was there, my father was there, and my brother was there. My grandfather was the one that put the ring on my finger, and I could see the pride in his eyes when he did this. The support that my family had given, all the work that he had done to get me to that space. Not only that, but I was the first woman in my family to receive a ring. And I knew I was trailblazing for a generation that would be coming. So when I look at my iron ring, that is what I see. I see the pride of my family and the pride of myself and what I have done.
So I'm the first in my family to become an engineer. And the other night, Jill asked me, why did you decide to become an engineer? And so I've been reflecting on this idea a little bit since then. And it's no small part of that is this idea. I remember driving towards this symbol of achievement, this symbol of community, this symbol that represents a duty to society that a profession is responsible for. And I thought that was really, really cool. It's something that kind of pushed me into engineering in the first place and provided that kind of light at the end of the tunnel. However, when I was in the ceremony, it wasn't as cool. I felt really uncomfortable.
I will be sharing the words of a recent graduate. She has given me permission to share these on her behalf. I love my iron ring. I wear it proudly every day as a symbol of my professional values and my identity as an engineer. But in some ways, I have formed this attachment to my ring in spite of, not because of, the ritual of the calling of an engineer. After my ceremony, there was a lot of chatter among students about how uncomfortable the text of the ritual made them. In particular, the centering of Christian scripture and religious symbolism makes many students feel excluded. Additionally, it was obvious in our ceremony that although the gender text had been amended in some instances to include women, we were still very much an afterthought, and this actually amplified our gender as an issue needing to be specifically addressed. Finally, as I've learned this week in conversation at CEEA-ACEG, the reliance on the literary work of Rudyard Kipling, noted imperialist, makes many students extremely uncomfortable. All of these elements in the ceremony have left myself and my peers with an icky feeling and the need to reframe for ourselves what engineering responsibility means outside the white Christian male context.
Thank you. So it was my talk yesterday at the collaboratorium that I got this conversation going. I'm not an engineer. I think I'm the only one up here. But I'm an engineering educator, and I was motivated. I mean, obviously, as we've already heard, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack in this whole topic. But I was motivated by something pretty simple. A responsibility to students, and something that I noticed in researching this and thinking about it is that the history of the tradition and the man who founded the tradition or wrote the original ceremony runs very much in contradiction to the values that I teach in my course, and I know that a lot of you, most of you, are teaching your course and what is espoused at this conference, right? Just to sum up a lot of what was discussed yesterday, and also this small flurry of emails I've been receiving ever since from all over the country at this point, to reiterate the respect for the tradition, the good in the tradition, and not to cast this as any kind of negative move, but as a way to reform something, as a way of preserving the significant good that resides at the core of the ceremony, so that our students can experience it without having to carry out the undue burden of resolving the contradiction between the values we teach and the values Kipling represents in the English engineering tradition.
So the Iron Ring ceremony is a culmination point for engineering students, an event that many look forward to from the moment they choose to do an engineering degree. Yet students, and this again came out through the discussion, aren't able to really transform the ceremony to reflect the changes and shifts in our society, in large part because they're not aware of what is coming before they experience it. And then they write exams and graduate right afterwards, and so aren't able to kind of really get together and organize to provide input and feedback to change it. And so we're hoping that this community can help to provide a support and platform for these students.
So these voices, and the reason we wanted to hear from all of the voices, is it really encapsulates the conversation that happened around the circle yesterday. And we want to continue this dialogue. The values, the meaning, and the community and togetherness that goes along with the Iron Ring is important, and we don't want to lose that. But what is happening at the Iron Ring ceremony is not holding these values. We believe this needs to be transformed, and it needs to happen now. If COVID taught us anything, we, the people here at CEEA-ACEG, can make change happen, and we can do it quickly, as in overnight. There is no reason when students are receiving their rings next year that the ceremony should go forward in its current form. We really want to reclaim the essence and values of the Iron Ring, and we are asking for your help. We know we aren't the first ones to say this, and there's already a lot of discussion happening across the country, and we want to coalesce that discussion. So we ask here today, if you want to engage in this dialogue with us, that you please stand. So specifically, we have a form. Oh, sorry, I forgot, thank you. So it's very simple. We're just asking if you're interested to fill out this form, which asks for your contact. It's no commitment, your level of engagement. There's also an open text box, and in there we ask you to add any comments or thoughts you have, as well as any connections you may think would be interesting. Feel free to forward this along to others. And again, we really want to connect with others that have been doing similar things. Since our discussion yesterday, we have heard from many people across the country. And we also want to specifically thank and say that there are wardens here in this room today that have already been engaging in this conversation with us. And so thank you. I know we are between you and lunch, and thank you for giving us this time on the stage. There will be no discussion because that will just go sideways too quick.